Hey, welcome back to DieCash Cars. So piggybacking off of Lamley's top 5 best main lines ever made by Hot Wheels, I thought I'd give you guys my edition of that. And it's definitely not an easy feat because there's just so many good Hot Wheel main lines that have come out in the last 5 to 10 years, so it's going to be really difficult. And I will also preface that my top 5 list, guys, I reserve the right to change it because, again, there's more and more awesome stuff popping up every year. But let's get right into it. My number 5 best mainline of all time, which is very funny because it is actually LamleyGroup's number 1 best mainline of all time, but it is this Nissan 180 SX Classic S chassis. And what's really cool too is that the latest LarryChen video is a highlight on one of these red hatchback 180SX full JDM with all the right modifications to it, so definitely check that out with Mr. LarryChen over there. But man, there's no doubt why this car is so awesome in 1/64 scale. I mean, they nailed it on the head with this factory Nissan body kit, or lip kit I should say. You can see the indentation there on the side skirt. And you got the classic 180SX JDM rear spoiler. Got the very sought after 180SX tail lights that are done in, not like the USDM 240SX version. And then everybody's favorite feature, mine in particular, is the flip up headlights. I mean, I am a sucker for pop up headlights, and I love how Hot Wheels captured it here too. They didn't open them up all the way, but they just mildly popped them up just slightly to make it look so sinister. There's no doubt why this is in the top 5, mine as well as LamleyGroup's. Number 4 on the list has to be this classic red Ferrari LaFerrari, and the only reason this isn't higher on the list, guys, is because this was a one and done cast. It was colored in red, then recolored in silver, and then it disappeared along with the Ferrari license from the Hot Wheels lineup. But guys, if you just look at the casting overall, I mean, so much detail, so much to take in, from the hood vents, the giant side inlets. I mean, the front end is just demonic. You got everything just all out nuts with this cast. I mean, I can even overlook the fact that the rear wheels are humongous compared to the front, but just this cast is something to definitely appreciate. I mean, just think about how much we've missed with the Ferrari license. I mean, how many more releases could we have seen with this in different colors and tampos? I mean, it kind of makes me a little bit sad, but nonetheless, even with just 2 releases of this, I'm still putting it within my top 5 best mainline releases, best basics of all time. Number 3 in the countdown has to be this EK9 Honda Civic Type Bar hatchback. And I know this is still a relatively new cast because we just saw it debut in 2021. We've only seen a couple of iterations of this in the Championship White, then in the yellow, Super Treasure Hunt, we got a Target Red, and I know there is a black version coming out later this year. But I think it's safe to say with the overwhelming popularity of this cast, the secondary market value on these cars, not even the super, just the regular main lines, all fetching about that $5 price point. Safe to say, instant classic, and definitely deserves to be on the top 5 list. I mean, detail wise, everything is there. Headlights, taillights, even the Type R logos on the rear end. I mean, they nailed it with this cast. Number 2 on my list has to be the Ken Mary Nissan Skyline 2000 GTR. I especially love it in the first edition in this white color. I mean, it's just screams classic JDM here, 1970s. One of the rarest Skylines of all time because this was the GTR that was built during the early gas crisis, so production numbers are very low on this. But Hot Wheels did a great job capturing it in this 1/64 scale. I mean, you got the details on the hood. I mean, just the recessed lighting in front grille. You got the classic side signature triangle here on the bottom rear panels. And then obviously you got the classic GTR quad tail lights there. Even got a little GTR emblem right there in the back as well too. But the overall silhouette of the car is captured super well. I mean, this is honestly one of the cars that got me back into collecting Hot Wheels. Just to know that Hot Wheels was headed down the path of bringing us classic JDM cars like this, I mean, it just made things really exciting. So definitely have to be in my top 2. The other thing I'll point out about the Kenmary is that it also led the way to bring us this beauty, the Liberty Walk 2000 GTR that just debuted last year in this cotton candy baby blue. But man, talk about your classic JDM aftermarket. I mean, this was one of the earlier Liberty Walk signature shop cars that I recall, and Liberty Walk has definitely just grown from there. So it's just awesome to see that this factory Kenmary led to this coming to the Hot Wheels mainline. And last but not least, and probably no surprise, especially for the folks that have been watching my channel for the last year or so, you guys know I love Subarus, and there's no doubt in my mind that this is the #1 best mainline casting of all time. And I know I'm very Subaru biased, but I would honestly argue that this is one of the best executed mainlines compared to anything else. Just look at all the details. I mean, the front end, they got the fog lights very accurately represented. All the tampo works in the front. You got the hood scoop, the hood vents. I mean, side profile, they arched the fenders to give it that wide body look to represent how this car looks like in real life. The spoiler is an actual spoiler. It's not just one giant cast. All the details on the rear end are there. I mean, guys, this thing is a work of art. I mean, I was so excited when this thing was announced that it was going to be part of the main line. And again, being released in the classic Subaru blue and gold. I mean, how can you not like this? Needless to say, I buy every single 22B that comes out, every single one that I find on the shelves. I mean, I'll admit it, guys, I hoard these by the boxes. I've literally lost count of how many 22Bs I have, but I'm just enamored with this cast. So there you go, #1 on my top 5 list, best castings of all time. But because this is a Hot Wheels and diecast investing channel, I had to bring you guys the top 5 most popular, most investable, basic mainline cars. Starting with number 5 has to be the Ferrari 599XX. Only reason it's not higher on the list, guys, is because, as I said with the LaFerrari, Hot Wheels lost the Ferrari license, and it makes you think how much of a lineage, how many other releases we would have seen of this cast, and how much more popular it would be today. But nonetheless, even with the few releases that we did get, I mean, they are very popular, very sought after. Right now, the few 599XX mainlines that we do have out there all sell within that $10 to $15 range. Number 4 would have to be the 55 Bel Air Gasser. We know how popular the Gasser is. We know the story with the Candy Striper from RLC. But guys, this is where it started in the main line. All the older releases of this cast do fetch a pretty penny, all sitting in that $5 to $10 range. Number 3 would have to be the 83 Silverado, classic Junimai cast, lowered, square body, and no question why this is also a very popular and investable mainline right now. All the older releases are sitting in that $10 range. The Datsun 510 needs no introduction, another Junimai product, and just something very classic about this 1970s squared 2-door coupe. It just looks fast, looks sleeperish, looks sinister, great details. No question why it's a classic and is super sought after. Earlier mainlines of this cast are sitting in that 15 plus territory. And last but not least, you got the R34, probably the most sought after mainline in the market today right now, fetching anywhere from $30 to $35, and that's insane for a basic mainline car that at one point back in 2010 to date just sits on the pegs. like every other $1, $1.25 Hot Wheels mainline out there, but again, popularity is there, the demand is there, and in all honesty, my favorite version of this R34 was the earlier releases that the spoiler was plastic, because it just sits a little bit lower than the new fully casted R34s where the spoiler is all metal. It sits a little too high for my taste, but I think this plastic version, the wing sits just right. But nothing to complain about this cast. All the awesome details of Omori Factory. It's kind of got a Z-Tune vibe to it, but it looks great. And then again, you got the classic quad tail lights in the back. No question why this cast is so investable. But there you have it, my top 5 best Hot Wheels basic mainlines of all time, as well as the top 5 most investable mainline Hot Wheel assortment out there. Let me know how my list compares to yours. And as always, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time on DieCash Cars.